I do not consent to
Your actions.
this episode. Or maybe I do. I don't know. Welcome to the End of a Species podcast. We talk about...
Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
yeah, we
I do not consent.
we talk about a whole bunch of stuff on
Oh
this.
my god.
And
Are you crazy?
so I have this guilty pleasure. Some of you listening probably already know what we're talking about. This guilty pleasure that I have is watching, I guess you could call it sovereign citizen videos. Some people say, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It's the people that think that simultaneously the laws of the whatever country they're in don't apply to them. But
we're in the United States of America.
Yeah, so
so it would be the United States of America people that we're referencing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't know if like
I've seen them in Australia and the UK and Canada, where they're like, your laws don't apply to me, but I'm going to use the laws that don't apply to me to argue how the laws should go a different way than the way that they don't apply to me.
Because I haven't seen a video from like China, because China didn't put up with that shit.
Oh, nah, you're not gonna see videos like that in the countries that
still use like public beatings as a option for disciplinary action.
I don't give a fuck countries. You're not gonna see people, because it's like, if the cops tell you to pull over, there's, you know what it is? It's to me it's the fact that in a lot of the First Amendment countries, you could sue a police officer that gave you a ticket. It could get waived, but that motherfucker still got to go to court for some bullshit. Mm-hmm. And like, if I'm not white, and I'm not gonna say that there's no problem with police in the world, or in the country or whatever. But if I get pulled over and a police officer says, "Hey, I pulled you over for speeding, and here's your ticket," I got no beef. I'm like, okay, thank you, and I'm gone. I don't have to be like, you fucking honky ass, cracker ass mother, like whatever, racist.
Because I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah, because I'm gonna say this, for the most part, in my experience. Now, your experience might be different, and I know this is a very polarizing thing, but for the most part, most police officers, they just want to go home and then cash their check, just like anybody else that works anywhere else. But the idea that I'm going to be like, it's one thing if a police officer comes at you and, says the N-word or whatever, you might feel a certain type of way about that. But the idea that the minute somebody stops me, I'm going to tell them, I don't need a driver's license to drive. Like, come on, man. Really?
Well, here, from the videos that I've seen and I've watched, they do a lot of quotation of like, the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights gives me the opportunity or the right to drive and do whatever it is that I want. And I'm like, yeah, you have the ability to travel. Like, that's a whole thing. Driving is something completely different. Driving didn't exist back in 1776, and the types that we're talking about of a 3.5-ton vehicle that you can get up to 120 miles an hour, and then like sideswipe a school bus and then kill a bunch of people. Like that didn't exist at the time. And
yeah,
it's the same.
I'm willing to bet, like when they were doing the Articles of Confederation, you have the right to travel on a horse and carriage and a combustion motor. What is that? I don't know, but when it comes, they can do it.
Yeah.
And don't give them a license for that shit.
Yeah. But like, we've set ground laws. If you want to purchase a vehicle, it has to be registered in the state. It's now registered in the state. I'm like, okay, it needs to have insurance. Like, in case you do something, like as a lot of people do, is like,
or you can be independently wealthy and have money that you have like in the bank that you go, hey, if I crash into somebody, here's $2 million that I have set aside just for the purpose of buying them a golden wheelchair when they sue me. Yeah, I've got liability coverage in some way.
Right. But you are not given the right to operate a motor vehicle. That's a controlled and licensed thing. You have to be like shown competent to be able to operate it, to be on highways that are paid for by the government. Like, that's how they fund some of that stuff, is like you need to pay your driver's license fee every year, you need to pay for your insurance, you need to pay for your registration of your tag. That's helping keeping the roads from not looking like cobblestone, roadways that lead down to, to the
You also
down to the alchemist where where you need to go pick up some phosphates.
you also don't have, like, just because you go, well, you know what? Fuck it, I'm not a U.S. citizen no more. That doesn't mean that you can now, like,
I've thrown off. You're
laws. What are laws? Forget it. I'm just gonna do whatever I want. No, I mean somebody
I've thrown
comes
off
here.
the burden of being an American.
Yeah, like somebody comes here from Norway. They can't be like, well, I'm not a citizen, so I'm going to take a jet ski down Main Street and run over some fucking bushes. You can't do that. Like, it's not a thing. So the reason I love watching these is because I have these borderline sociopathic thoughts when I'm bored, and I just like watching people get tased. And there's a thing that they said.
It's like going to the zoo or the circus. Like you're just there to watch the animals
And
act like animals.
But you really, like, when somebody goes to the circus and they see the lion tamer, they're not. I mean, they ooh and ah when the guy cracks the whip and the lion sits down. But secretly in the back of their head, they're like,
Lion eat his face.
yeah, like if the lion just jumps up and rips the dude's arm off, you're gonna be like, oh, I was there for that. Yeah, that sucked, but I was
Selfie.
there.
Selfie.
You want to see it? I got it on my phone. Like, it's a thing, and for me, like, to see somebody get pulled over and you knowing, like, especially if you see a video that and you see like the day is on like the 29th. Like, this is somebody getting pulled over by somebody who's probably high strung. So you're like, oh, it's going to go down. It's about to go down. Like, why did you pull me over? Can I have your name and badge number? Like, okay, cool. If you ask respectfully, if I could say, look, officer, can I just have your name and badge number real quick? I'm going to give you, here's my license. I just want to know your name just in case, blah, 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 for my safety, blah, 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 blah.
And then a lot of times, like most departments or whatever, they'll have a requirement that, like, if you ask for it, they have to tell you.
Yeah.
And, they tell you, and then and then where do you live? That I don't need to tell you that.
But
this is the address of the police station.
But if you could, I mean, that's to hear, right? So,
But you be respectful about it, and you don't have to voice a concern at the time. You don't have to be indignant at the time. You don't have to be mean at the time. Like,
Yeah,
there's all social niceties that can happen and interact with everyone else. And like, you get pulled over, you go through the motions. A lot of stuff is on body cameras and stuff now. So like, if something happened that you didn't like, unless you're injured or hurt or whatever, deal with it later.
Let me put it this way.
Then go down to the police department and file a complaint.
Yeah, if a police officer came up to my car and be like, let me get your driver's license and proof of insurance, fuckface, I'm going to instantly be like, I'm sorry, here you go, but did you just call me fuckface? Put that in my head. Are you record? Okay, cool. Go right to the police. Yo, this dude called me fuckface. I didn't do nothing to him.
Yeah.
Boom.
He said I ran a stop sign.
And
I don't think that deserved a fuckface.
That wasn't warranted. I mean, okay, if there's a school bus with one of those like flippy out stop signs and I ran past that,
well, yeah,
you could call me fuckface there because there's some kids that you could have run over. But in any case, fine. The remedy that I have is I could ruin that cop's career, like putting a complaint that's like found to be warranted in a cop's file is probably detrimental to their career. That's never going away. That's you.
Yeah,
now.
well, I think official like founded complaints, I think those get like locked on. Like you have like a special like gold star system like at the front of your binder. It's like times fucked up seriously, and then they put a gold star there with like a case number or something like that one.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, once you get 10 gold stars of calling people fuckface, you out.
He called Jeff fuckface on October 29th. But What do you think the cops' remedy is? Because, I mean, I was just talking about this with my wife the other day. Like, if I'm walking in the street and a cop goes, cross the street over there, in the moment that they say cross the street over there, I have no idea if it's a lawful order or not. I have no clue. I also don't think that I should be afforded the 20 minutes of delay. Let's time out like Zach Morris, this bitch, and be like, can you show me proper paperwork that tells me that you have the lawful order to tell me to cross the street because I have the right to cross this, to walk on this side of the street if I want to because I'm an American citizen and here's the Bill of Rights and all this other bullshit. What if there was a bomb about to go off? What if there was
Sewer leak,
some
fire,
some other shit, like they're staking out and,
It's like, hey, if you go this way, like, we're looking for a guy that just stabbed 4 people. If you walk down this street, he might jump out of the bushes and stab you again.
Yeah,
like, you might be number 5. So, like, hey, cross the street over there and then continue on your way to the subway.
We're staking out Tony Montana and he's going to come out with that machine gun.
Or whatever.
So, if I find that, like, I'll cross the street, what does that cost me? Nothing. An extra 30 seconds, as CK would put it, that I didn't go my favorite way. But, like, if I find out later that you just told me to cross the street and I was, like, 5 minutes late to a meeting or to wherever I had to be to because your girlfriend was, like, there and you wanted her to come out with nobody being within 5 feet of her.
Or he just didn't like you said you're not white, and he's a white officer, and he's just like, no, because you're not white, you're not allowed to walk on this side of the street, so go over that street. Like,
yeah, if I find that out, come on, let's
then you can throw something.
Let's
down.
call Jesse Jackson. Let's call Al Sharpton. All them cats. Do that scene from Malcolm X. Oh, we getting Brother Jeff. Like, outside the... But at the moment, if the dude says go cross the street, the guy's retirement, pension, job, paycheck, he might have a mortgage. He's going to put that up because to tell you to cross the street, that's not like he's hitting you in the face. So to bring it back to sovereign citizens, what are y'all doing? Like, you're going to get tased. I mean, go get tased because I like to see it. But, like, you're going to get tased.
Well, in a lot of the traffic stop videos with sovereign citizens, they've pulled them over. They're like, what did you pull me over for? Like, you ran a stop sign and you were speeding. It was like, I don't have to obey your traffic laws. It was like, okay, I need your license, registration, proof of insurance. I don't have to show you that. Now we're in a custodial kind of a thing, like you're being detained pending my investigation. And if I find out that you don't have a license or whatever, you're illegally driving. So then there's a whole another thing. So, like, I got to now, go hunt something out. Like, you're going to get arrested. Like,
Real
you're going
talk,
to get arrested.
I got friends that have been pulled over with insurance that lapsed a month ago, registration lapsed 2 weeks ago because their insurance lapsed a month ago, and their license got suspended yesterday. With those 3 things, they got pulled over, and they're like a mile from their house. But they're really nice to the officer, and the officer goes, look, I'm going to follow you to your house. Get that shit taken care of before you drive. But I'm not going to give you a ticket today. And we're not going to tow your car because I feel bad for you. That has happened. But if that same situation happens and you're like, well, I don't have to have... They're calling the tow truck.
Roll the window down.
While you're saying that. Mm-hmm. So you could... I mean, there's a thing that they say where I'm from that you could beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. And I'm not saying you should kowtow to every damn cop that says whatever, but if they're giving you an order... Don't come at me with, like, no Articles of Confederation bullshit. You're going to lose that. Articles of the piece of paper on the Articles of Confederation is going to lose to a nightstick every time. Every fucking time.
But, like, if you're in a detainment situation and you're being, like, asked to roll the window down or step out of the car and you're not doing it, like, they now have reason to believe that, like, you're hiding something else or something more serious or you're armed or whatever. And then, like, the hairs on the back of their head start pricking up a little bit more and they're like, oh, something's about to go down. And, I've been told things this way is police work is a customer service job. You call for help and they are there as customer service. And whatever you request or whatever your actions are is dictating the level of customer service that you're going to get. So when you're out on the road, they're servicing the highway or whatever, and like you've now caused an infraction on the highway, so they now have to remedy it by pulling you over and issuing you a ticket if they feel it's necessary. And then you're gonna sit there and cause more drama. Okay, well, we have to do things the hard way.
Yeah.
Get out of the car. I'm not getting out of the car.
Okay.
And then you hear screaming.
And not for nothing, like the amount with as litigious as our society is right now, and I don't think that this like is a 1-to-1 relationship. Obviously, if somebody gets tased and they get handcuffs put on them, their day is ruined far beyond measure. But I mean, it's my opinion they did it to themselves. If it's a sovereign citizen situation where they're just being assholes, but at the same time, I've been watching these videos for a long time. One trend that I've seen with these is that cops are a lot more patient for a lot longer when it comes to asking for a license 120 times before they pull you out of the car. And I think it has to do with the fact that the amount of time that they're asking is less than the amount of bullshit that they have to put up with for filling out a report where they tased you and filling out another piece of paperwork for putting you in jail, all over something that they do.
Going and having their taser checked, because I'm sure it's like in a lot of states they have like a state-run system where they follow up with like police shootings and homicides and all that kind of stuff. Like, hey, you fired your weapon or you discharged your taser. Like, you have to go to your equipment room and have it checked out by the quartermaster or whatever, and like make sure everything's up to proper working order. And like I know when they have the radar guns and stuff, those have to be checked like every month to make sure that they're operating, so that when they pull somebody over, there's a legitimate reason. Like, yep, the radar gun was operating at its the way it's supposed to. So like now they've got to go through that and make sure their equipment's done. They got to get a replacement for their taser cartridge to fire those probes. They got to pack all that stuff up, write a report, ship your ass to county, like, or whatever. There's a whole process as opposed to like, can I see your license? Okay, your license is good. Here's your ticket for speeding. Have a nice day. I'm sure that's the way they'd rather go with it, as opposed to like 2.5 hours of paperwork of like, just because you didn't want to provide a driver's license.
Let's say instead of the driver's license, right? Instead of your driver's license, let's say that the police officer asked you for your credit card and they wanted to see your credit card. I know they're not supposed to ask me for my credit card. That's some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But they're asking me for my credit card. I don't want this to go sideways. Fine. Here you go. Here's my credit card. Now, 2 seconds after you leave, I'm canceling that shit. And then right after that, I'm going to the forum where I can make that complaint. I might sue. I might, at a minimum, go to the police station and be like, yo, did you know this motherfucker asked me for my credit card? Like, that's not a form of ID. I have my license.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I was in an accident once with a guy who did not have a license, did not have anything, and he kept showing the cop his credit card, and the cop was like, "Nah, I don't want to see that." So I know
that's not a form of identification.
Yeah, like what are you gonna like go to the ATM and put the pin in, and that's how you know? So I could go to the police department and be like, "This motherfucker asked me for the credit card. I don't even want to give him my credit card," and that's a complaint. And if I feel further slighted, then after all is done, I could shake hands with that cop. Okay, great. You let me off with a warning, shake hands, lawsuit. Hey, I'd like to sue because I had to call the bank and I had to be without my card for a week and it set me back on this and this and this. I lost $50, $100 out of the deal because I couldn't pay my bills because I didn't have my card. And I'd like to be compensated for that $100 because this cop asked me for my credit card and my account was not safe. Done. And guess what happened? I didn't get tased.
Yeah, you didn't get tased. You didn't get beat up. You didn't get dragged out of the car. You didn't get handcuffed because you just followed some simple instructions. Because sometimes it's a simple instruction. Like if you get told, like, hey, I pulled you over for speeding. I need you to punch that passenger of yours in the face. And I'm like, that's an unreasonable request.
Yeah.
But like, do what you got to do, deal with the thing. There's the like you were saying, the proper forum to go and file a complaint, make a complaint, get some, justice for how you felt slighted. But like the time and place is not there on the side of the street, yelling in the cop's face, with traffic going by. So
In a high energy environment where
he doesn't know you. You
Yeah.
don't know him.
yeah.
You look like you don't know that you look like the guy that slept with his wife, and that's why his marriage is ending, and that's why he lives in a studio apartment, and she has all of his stuff. And then you're gonna call him a whatever to his face, and then like you run up on him like approach aggressively, and then you get tased or shot or whatever. Like you don't like. It's a high stress job. You don't know what's gonna set somebody off.
Also, fun fact: police officers don't go to law school. They get training, and they know the law that allows them to do the thing that they do. Mm-hmm. But they have a lawyer that's called the DA. So that's who is telling. Like if you say, "Oh, I have this paperwork that says that I'm a Moorish blah 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 diplomat, foreign U.S. ambassador to whatever," they could very easily be like, "Hey, is that true?" And they'll within seconds get somebody that goes, "Nah, that's not a thing." And then you got to take that up. I mean, always take it up in court. So I think most of what I want to talk about, or most of what I want my message to go to, is for people who come across this type of literature, like the people that really believe it and are true believers enough to spout this bullshit at a dude with a sidearm, with a duty pistol, a taser, handcuffs, pepper spray,
Nightstick.
a nightstick,
And it's recorded. It's a record. Your dumb ass is being recorded.
and whatever they're about to do to you, they're willing to put on tape. The person who's willing to spout off that nonsense to that person, I think those people are gone, and they're gonna take it to court. 98.9 a million% of the time, they're gonna lose, unless something happens and like they get dismissed because it's like, I don't want to deal with you. But for the people out there that are just coming across some fucking, oh, you're a more United States of America / Morocco bullshit, it's not true. It's not true. If it was true, somebody would have, like, it would be something. You know how quickly you would see it on every news channel if the United States of America was really Morocco and we didn't know, and somebody went to the Supreme Court and that was a ruling. That shit would be on every news. Did you know? For the last 200 years, we've lived in Morocco?
The United States of
Hey,
American.
white folk, you all African. Like, you would see, you know how much money there would be in that? Like, people wearing dashikis all of a sudden, I'm in Africa.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a thing. It's not a thing. So if you see that literature, do yourself a favor. Don't get yourself fucked up. Don't get yourself tased. Don't get yourself shot. Don't print out. Don't waste money on
Waste trees.
Staples. Don't give any money to Staples. I mean, we like Staples. Who do we not like?
GameStop.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck GameStop.
Fuck GameStop. But don't give extra money to Staples on a ream of paper to print out some bullshit that you're going to scream out at a goddamn fucking traffic stop where you might have changed lanes without signaling. Or why'd you pull me over? That's not a crime. You're going to lose. It's going to happen. It's going to happen every time. And when you take it to court, do not give these fuckers any money to take a class on how you're part of the indigenous whatevers. Matter of fact, indigenous, like, do you know what we did to indigenous? Like, do you know what happened to people that were indigenous?
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole other thing. But like, is that what you want to be? Is that like, if you're not indigenous, is that where you? Come on, man. Don't become a sovereign citizen. Don't align with that shit. It's stupid. It's a quick way to get shot or killed or tased.
Protect yourself out on the street. Do what
Yeah.
you know. There's people make these complaints about cops and stuff all the time, but like, keep your hands where you can see them. Do what they tell you to do, and then make your complaint somewhere else. Like make the complaint at the station, where there's cameras, where there's news, where there's whatever. Get yourself a lawyer if that's what it requires. But like on the street, making that complaint to the officer and causing a scene, probably just going to get you a boot in the back of the neck.
And if you think, like, unless it's somebody you know, anybody that, like, I've seen videos where a regular citizen pulls over. Do you think they're pulling over to help you? No. No, those people are pulling over to hold down your leg while this dude puts cuffs on you. So for that minute, your face is being ground into the pavement. And a month later, when you're in court, they're going to tell you, nope.
Pay the fine.
Motion to dismiss is denied. Objection overruled. All of that you just said is bullshit.
Pay the fine. You now have court costs.
Yeah, you owe us blah, blah, blah. Oh, you don't want to plead? I've entered a not guilty plea. Now you got a jury trial over going 10 miles over the speed limit. And that ticket is what, $50, $100? So for $100, you're OJ now. Are you happy? Don't read that shit. I mean, if you want to read it for fun, but don't subscribe to that bullshit.
You read it like you're reading a comic book. Know that there's...
Yeah, it's a fictional thing.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't fiction, then you would see it everywhere all the time. People talk about how corporations, they'll hide the news. But you don't see... People don't use talcum powder anymore. Talcum powder. Johnson & Johnson is one of the biggest companies in the world. They don't use talcum powder because somebody was like, "Oh, that might give you cancer." I don't have baby powder. So if there was some shit where it's like, "Oh, the government, blah blah blah," the NSA, like, fuck the NSA. They can't come out and do shit. So if there was some shit where you didn't need a driver's license, you don't think that would hit the news? Come on. People just haven't heard about it yet. Really? Stop doing sovereign citizen bullshit. This has been a PSA.
Sounds good.
All right. Now that we've gotten that rant out of the way, we'll see you at our next episode. If I catch any one of you guys that listens that hasn't been a sovereign citizen being a sovereign citizen, I might do a clip just about you and make fun of you because it's going to make me laugh, but just don't do it. All right.
Peace out, guys.